We all need to focus on how to transform, make the dimensional shift. And, we can start by OBE questions, out-of-body questions, or life after death. You follow me? Which we don't want to experience the second death. But, questions about the fifth plane, the new heaven and the new earth, etc. All right, sister, go ahead. Please. Thank you for your patience.
Sure. I had a dream last night that I was coming up out of this house. And while I was coming up out of this house, I noticed that it was a snake coming out of this grass and stuff that was on the side of this house towards me. And I tried to get away, but of course, they're pretty fast. And it ended up biting me on my left hand. And while I was, trying to get some help, because there was some people like outside of where I was at, and nobody was helping. Nobody was doing jack. And I'm just thinking in my mind, and I could just feel, I could, feel the poison trying to affect me, but it wasn't really doing damage or anything like that. But I still feel it, and I, kept asking for somebody to help me to go to the hospital. And I, finally got the doggone snake up off of me, off my hand, and it ended up, and I heard somebody saying that it was a cobra. I was just like, wow.
Well, that sounds like some ancient Egyptian stuff like that. You said you had a second experience, too. What was that one?
It was another time that I had this other dream that was a reoccurring dream. And it was about these 4 Caucasian kids. It was 2 girls and 2 boys. The one boy and girl, they were probably maybe about somewhere between 6 and 7. The other 2,
is somebody talking in the background? Who's in the background? Please shake your phones. Mute your phones. All right, go ahead, sister. I'm sorry you being interrupted.
That's okay. The devil always busy. But
yeah. Well, some
anyway,
people are ignorant too.
True. These kids were after me, though. They were trying to. They were just after me, trying to kill me and stuff like that. And
this call is being recorded.
Why are you talking in the background, brother? Mute your phone.
This meeting is being recorded.
Go ahead, sister. It was 4 white kids, and they were trying to kill you.
Yeah, and they, and I kept getting, they couldn't catch up with me, though, even though they were, still trying to be after me and stuff. And long story short, they start using, these powers and stuff. And so they had me, so in my mind, I just kept, because at the time that this was going on, I was still off into the Christianity thing. So I just kept calling on the name of Jesus over and over again, just in my thoughts, because I couldn't say it out loud anymore, because like I said, they were using their powers that they had, to stop my throat from saying it physically and stuff. So I just kept thinking it and kept thinking it over and over again, to where eventually, I got the help that I needed, and then they were gone.
All right.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So that's that war that goes on inside of all of us. It's called the inner jihad. Jihad is the Arabic word for war, holy war. All right. Who was that first question about the new heaven, new earth? How to get to the 5th plane? What is life after death? Rahul Bat.
I got one. What is the fastest? What's the best surefire way for you to be able to OBE at will?
Okay, what she's asking about is how to learn to come out of your body at will, because Amun-Rayay stated frequently that you all are not going anywhere until you learn how to come out of your body at will. In other words, you know you're a dual entity. You have an inner being and an outer being. And we can prove that by getting you to rationalize that you have an outer vision, your two physical eyes, that's restricted to the parameter of the room you're in, the floors, walls, and ceiling, but you also have an inner vision so that when you close your physical eyes, it's a much more powerful muscle matrix, so you can see through the walls and see your car in the driveway parked, and you see in the past, you see what happened yesterday, and many times you've seen things in the future, and dreams and visions, and then as you walk the earth plane, something played out in front of you, told the person next to you, I saw this in my dream a few days ago. The question is, how do you remember the future? You also have an inner hearing, an inner heart, because you have the physical muscle, the cow that pumps the blood, the muscle, we're all cognizant of that. But you also have an emotional heart, so if you're talking to your child long distance, and they get disrespectful on the phone, or your mate, or significant other, or family member, or a friend, they can break your heart. And it's not the one that pumps the blood. It's your emotional heart. So the question is how do you separate the physical aspect of you, which is nothing more than a fungus that clings to the light. And the light, of course, comes from the Most High. He merely shares and we become. The life is the light in man, or in the vessel, the earthen clay, right? And the body is without repose without that light. Because as I said before, we're all enigma, meaning that if you were in a room and you see an empty chair that you could sit in, with your imagination, imagine if I put your soul in an empty chair, your spirit, your etheric aspect, your memory, your mind, your personality, your thoughts, and your feelings, then what would be left on the phone here with us? Right, nothing. That's what your body is not worth the weight of a wafer. It's an illusion. And these disagreeable beings, reptilians and shaggies and devils and what have you, they're doing their utmost to convince you that the physical reality is where you're going to draw your pleasure and your heaven in essence out of. And that's just a perfect lie, because nothing physical is even forever. And that's one of the attributes of heaven, is that you know that heaven is eternal. And a lot of people suffer under the misnomer that they think that they need their physical body to experience pleasure. Again, this is deception. Well, without a tongue, how can I taste food? Or without certain organs, how can I experience pleasure or feel the sun on my face? Well, that's all deception, because your body is inside of your mind, not your brain, because your brain as well is inside of your mind located. The room you are in are inside of you. You are not inside of that room. Anybody have questions about these things, then ask me and I'll prove it to you. All right? So let's imagine that you having a dream and you making love to somebody you're very attracted to in a dream, and you achieve a nocturnal emission, male or female. You can achieve an orgasm and have a sexual dream. And you wake up in the morning embarrassed because you realize you're the only one in the bed. Thing is, you go out and have sex with an i.e. real person, a flesh and blood person, and don't achieve an orgasm. My question to you is which was realist? Which lover was the realist? The one in what you call the dream, or the i.e. so-called reality? Boom,
The one in your dream.
boom, boom, boom. That's right. That's right. So since it wasn't a physical act that made you achieve the pleasure point, it was all in your mind, which makes it a spiritual act. This is a thought world, a mental creation. Are you following me? Not physical. You are all spiritual beings listen to me closely, you're all spiritual beings having a physical experience. The only reality is divine love, was the primary attribute of Falun, all. Best definition for newcomers, you can't add to it because where would you get it from? And you can't take away because where would you put it? All is all. And divine love is the only reality. Everything else is mere illusion. Right? So, before the advent of time or space, persons, places, or things, there was all that set things into vibratory motion. Because all had a shift in consciousness. And at that point, that consciousness stopped. That is where all of you were encoded. Are you following me? You all personified at that point. And it established the illusion of distance, of here as opposed to there, which brought in the illusion of time, which is now as opposed to then. Right? You were all imprinted in that place as supreme beings, and you spiraled down for whatever reason into spirit, from ether, from a mental reservoir, from a thought existence. You spiraled down into ether. Some spiraled down further into soul, some even further into spirit. And the lowest point that you could possibly spiral down to is what you described as the physical plane. Solid, actual, and time-bound. Right now, you're as solid and physical as you could possibly become. You cannot become more dense or sluggish or vibrate slower in existence. You're at the very bottom of existence, the lowest of the low. And Earth itself is a penitentiary for wayward angels. It is a penitentiary for fallen angels, right? Not those that have fallen from the sky, but have fallen in essence down in vibration, frequency, have spiraled down to the bottom. Because you were all angelic beings on the realm of Malakut, the fourth plane. You were simple electromagnetism, spiritual beings. But many of you thought man had more, and you wanted to experience some of his things, like eat a Whopper, or you were curious about things. Just like the 200 that came down, it was actually 300. But 100 maintained ether vapors by orbiting around the celestial chariots around the planet as watchers, while 200 came down, and as they laid around, relaxed, they became curious and excited ultimately about hearing Adamites having sex in bushes and around them, and they heard the sounds, and they were so excited from that, stimulated, that they moved to kill all the males, men and boys, and then take and rape the women and girls. Now, when this reached up to Nibiru, the elders of the council called them in for questioning. And they, together with the 100 Agigi, or watchers, lied together in coordination and said, none of this happened. They didn't rape or murder anybody. But as these females, these Adamites became pregnant, they began to give birth to these Nephilim, these giants, and they were very disagreeable like their fathers. They would rob, rape, and kill, murder, and steal, and lie. They performed every type of debauchery, and they thought evil continuously. It was in their heart to do evil continuously. Many people think that this is mythology, but if you do a computer search and just Google giant skeletons found in Iraq and Arabia, they're all over the world, but look for photos of giant skeletons, YouTube, and you see evidence of the fact that there were giants in the earth in those days. I myself have been in many spiritual places where I've had contact with these giants and many other life forms that people today really consider to be mythological beings, like the Cyclops. I've met that. I've met a lot of different beings, quite a few of them with 4 arms. But back to the focal point, here on earth, it's a battlefield, and it's a battlefield of the soul. This final conflict is not going to be a war determined by us running out with sticks and bottles throwing at tanks. That's ridiculous. And the physical plane is the devil's playground. You have to raise up in vibration if you expect to have any chance to be victorious or win the outcome of this conflict. You have to raise up in vibration and fight the devil on the spiritual plane and on the soul plane, because there he's very weak, very weak. Black or white, devils are very weak there, and on the soul plane they're non-existent. Right? You follow? Now I'll give you some idea about the fall of man. When you first spiraled down into a physical form, none of you ate food. And hunger was a thing that you were confused about. You could feel the pain because of your connection to the physical body. But you were administered reishi mushroom at first to assuage, to soothe the pain of hunger. But relatively quickly, you learned to be vicious, so that before, when you were in the heavens, you see flocks of birds or schools of fish, etc., and you thought to yourself, what a magnificent and wondrous beauty nature is. It's so beautiful, right? But now, when the birds or the chickens walk by, your only thought or obsession was, I can take a rock or a brick, hit this creature in the head, and I can kill it, and I can eat it, and it will soothe my hunger. So you learn the science of Rehoboam, to destroy things, one thing, in order for something else to exist. In the same way you cut down a tree to build houses, and you justify the ends by the means. You justify the means by the end. Are you following me? But this is the fall of man, because it affected very negatively your ability to have divine love for everything in creation, right? So this is what brought you to this tragic point of such a vile and loathsome creature, right? Now, I know a lot of people put on suits and pretty dresses while they carry out this type of thing, but it is what it is. And all of you that are serious and are purifiable souls and are ready to take instruction and follow the guidance that was so wonderfully and affectionately sent to you by the Most High as a sign of His divine love to you, this is the final call, and I'm the last elder. Please gather everybody you know and come home before times get beyond repair, because you're drawing mighty close to the deadline. 2030 is the final transformation point. There will be no more opening of the vortex that started with the Philadelphia experiment in 1943, Philadelphia experiment, and opened up again 1953, 63, 73, on to 2003, 2013, the year that Panabab Yanun and I were taken up together. 2023 was the final vortex opening. So the end of time on this earth is 2030, so you won't reach 2033. Don't fantasize about that. And as far as those of you that are thinking about making a heaven here on earth, you can throw that out of your mind, because there'll be a new heaven and a new earth, for the former things will have passed away. You know, when a person dies, another way they describe that is that he or she has passed away or died, right? So that'll be over. And those of you that experience the second death will also experience hell. I'm going to let you think about that for a minute. Now, what is the new heaven and the new earth, you may ask? Right? Well, let's listen to the description of it. In the new heaven and the new earth, there'll be no more hunger, no more thirst, no more pain, no more sorrow, no more tears, no more death. For the former things will have passed away. Now, how do we get to that place? Let me ask you a question. How often does your spirit get hungry?
Never.
Somebody.
Never.
Right. How often does your spirit get sleepy?
Never. Never.
That's right. Because when you're having that dream and you're making love to the one you're attracted to, your physical body and brain is shut down for slumber, but your spirit is still active, right? So it doesn't sleep. The aspect of you that belongs to the Most High never sleeps. So when does your spirit die? Because when a person supposedly dies, they check their vitals, breathing and pulse, heart rate, etc. Pull the sheet over their head and they say, well, he's gone now. What does that imply? It's over, which simply means above. What they're saying is that he or she has left that physical form. And it's nothing to be distressed about, because it's no different than in the 50s, 60s, and 70s when people had surgery. They would administer a gas called ether to them. They would put the facial mask on, and that etheric gas would raise up their vibrations and stimulate their spirit to such high frequency that they would raise up out of their body. And what you call an OBE, or an out-of-body experience, astral flight. The person's consciousness and the aspect of them that belongs to the Most High, the real you, the personality, the feelings, the thoughts, would raise up, and people describe near-death experiences such as that. As I was in the operating room on the ceiling looking down at my body, I saw the doctors and nurses working on it. I heard everything they said. It was clear to me. And then what it is if they prepared the body sufficiently for you to return, you would slide back down the etheric cord and pop back into your head and reanimate the flesh. And as soon as you reconnected with your body again, like Idris in the holy tablets, you began to feel the pain of whatever it is, the trauma that your body experienced during the surgery or whatever it went through for the repair. Because as long as your spirit was not inside of your body, they could cut your leg off with a butter knife or a hatchet and you would feel no pain. A lot of you travel in your sleep. Every night you leave your body. A lot of people are not cognizant of that. You can bear witness to that because many of you had terrible headaches and toothaches and you go to sleep. As soon as you go to sleep, you don't feel the pain anymore. It's not because your body's not suffering. It's because Elvis has left the building. Astral flight, OBE. And like ether, your spiritual essence, which is a ball of light, etheric ball of light about the size of your fist that resides in your solar plexus, has raised up in vibration and traveled up the light cord of your spine. That's Jacob's ladder, your spinal column. And every notch in your spine is a step or a rung in that ladder that will take you up through the seven heavens, seven planes, seven chakras, or seats, however you prefer to describe it. Now, like I said, every night when you go to sleep, this happens. Your physical brain and your body shuts down because during the day, your flesh, your carnal self, your brain, and your spiritual aspect are like two equally matched warriors grappling for dominance. Grappling for dominance. You follow me? When you're undecided about taking that shot of whiskey if you're a vegetarian, eating that hamburger. You go back and forward. The carnal self, the shape thing, or the devil says, you're an adult. You're a grown man or woman, have what you want. Because its only directive is pleasure at the expense of you or anybody else. No consideration for the fallout. While the spiritual aspect of you, the higher aspect of you, your better angels, the God in you tells you, no, don't drink that. Drink something healthy. Right? They go back and forward, arguing like the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the next, until ultimately, because you have free will as a deity, created in the image and likeness of God. Don't ever make the mistake of trying to create God in your image and likeness. It'll be the downfall of you that you'll never recover from. Back and forth they go, and sometimes you verbalize the intensity of that war, and your child or your significant other hears you speaking in another room. You've all heard this, and they said, who are you talking to in there? And you laugh and confess and say, you caught me. I'm in here talking to who? To myself. The myself is the lower aspect of you. The physical form that you see in the mirror. The empty vessel, the mud, the fungus clinging to the light. The real you, the essence of you, the quintessence of you, the God in you, is the inner being that's warring with the flesh, the carnal flesh, all the time. Except at night, when you go to sleep, then the physical brain and body, exhausted, falls asleep. And the spirit raises up in vibration like it's under the effect of ether, and it acts freely on the flesh. Your spirit then acts freely on your flesh. And it goes to the base of your spinal column, and it starts ascending like an elevator. That light, like raising a kundalini, it travels up the spinal column, the first, second, third, fourth, back to Malakut, on to fifth, the laryngeal seat, the pineal gland, third eye, and up to the crown molar at the top of your head. That light expands up there. That's the real temple. It's not a building down the street, but the place on the side of your head next to your ears. That is the temple and the seat of the Most High, where you have purified yourselves, purifiable souls. That bright light, when it's at the top of your head, the crown molar, still inside the temple, it raises up vibration in the mouth of an etheric tube. Your etheric cord is like a cobweb, a thin, transparent, hollow tube about the diameter of a thread. That ball of light sits at the mouth of that and causes it to raise up in vibration and expand in the opening like a woman dilating to give birth. And when that opening is wide enough to accommodate the light, then the real you raises up out of the temple, the physical body, and it goes into that hollow tube. That's what people in near-death experiences describe as going through a tunnel. You follow me? Now, when you're halfway in your head and halfway out of your head, you would have an appearance of, say, Mary or Jesus or Buddha, an enlightened being, because they can see that light shining around your head and your being. It will perspire through your skin and radiate outside like an aura or a corona, like you see on pictures of Jesus in Christianity. Are you following me? And when you go all the way out, you would start traveling up that tube, which is not unlike, because you ascend in the Most High's plan, tab deck, plane after plane, like a baby in the womb of its mother. It's connected to an umbilical cord that's likened to the etheric cord, so that when the baby is born, it in essence dies out of that reality, and when turned upside down and spanked, it cries. After the umbilical cord is cut, the baby dies from out of that reality and can't re-enter the womb, right? so that when the doctor turns it upside down by the feet and spanks it, the pain causes the baby to cry. And in order to cry, it has to inhale. It inhales oxygen, which is a very flammable gas, and second from the sun, as the Egyptians describe it, the prana, as described by the Greeks. That oxygen is very flammable. It goes into their nostrils, or their pyra, means fire, and it goes into your circulatory blood system. And by it's being pumped by the heart muscle around your circulatory arterial system. And it deposits oxygen and life substance in every cell of your physical being until that second and oxygen reaches the fire inside of your solar plexus, which is that light that lights the heart of every man and woman that comes in the world. That's the light that shines in the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. Meaning you're God, but you forgot it. And as soon as that flammable gas hits that internal light, it causes an ignition, a spark that starts a tumbling. I just saw your aura. It's just like when you turn the key in your ignition in your car and it starts a tumbling with the pistons. And that tumbling binds the spirit to the mud to create the living soul. And then you begin at that instant, your zero time reference here on earth. You're no longer a spiritual being. Because when the baby is first born, even though it's in a physical form, it's still a spiritual entity. Because it's not reliant on the sun outside, but on the internal sun, and on the internal sun inside of the mother. Because that sun inside of you makes you maintain a constant body temperature of 98.6 regardless of outside temperature. And it wasn't using lungs to breathe with. Inside the mother, the fetus was in the amniotic fluid. In the water, my water broke, right? So that was breathing with gills. You know, even adults experience that. Look at that name. He stewed to the what? Gills. You once had gills. And you've seen on television these little documentaries where they have mothers give birth to babies underwater, and these babies are still breathing underwater, swimming underwater. Many of you have seen that. If not, look it up. Don't believe me. Look it up. The reason they're breathing underwater is because they're still using their gills until the doctor turns it upside down and spanks it, and the pain causes the baby to cry. In order to cry, it has to inhale oxygen from this atmosphere. And that starts the tumbling that binds the spirit to the mud of the body to begin their zero time reference, or their first day born here on earth. Now back to that etheric tube on the top of your head. That cord is attached to the oversoul. All right? And that's time, and you make this ascension every night. And you become a disembodied soul or free spirit. Astral flight. You turn yourself into a ship or a sham as revealed to you in chapter 7 of the Holy Tablets. Right? Or chapter 6 is it? You see the diagram of the man turning himself into a ship in the Holy Tablets. The argument I had with Mentuhotep, one of the triad under Amun-Rayay. But when we said at the kitchen table and I revealed it to him, he acknowledged it very coyly. Yeah, I see you right, Ahmed. I see you right. Mm-hmm. Okay, but that's what you do, and that's what you do every night when you have the sensation that you're flying and floating as a dream. You think it's a dream, but you've entered into a spiritual realm. Like the sister was describing the experience she had with the 4 white people and the snake and all, that was a reality, and she was really there. What I encourage you all to do the next time you have a dream experience is to remember my words and look for a mirror. Look for a mirror. If you look for one, the very act of looking will make it manifest. You are creators. And when you look in that mirror, you'll be surprised to find that you do not look anything like you do here. You may not. In the same way that while you're dreaming and traveling, a lot of times you've met friends and relatives in a dream. But they didn't look anything like they do here. But you knew it was them by their mannerisms. you knew it was them, even though they look completely different. Well, imagine that you look different too, because as a man or woman thinketh, so are they. All right? And in that dream state, you're no longer hindered, not trapped inside of persons, places, or things. You're thinking outside of the box. So if you think about Egypt, you're suddenly there. If you think about childhood, you're there. If you think about the future, you're there. If you think about elementary school, you're there. Are you following me? So you are any place and anything you want to be. That's how you know you're starting to re-enter the kingdom of heaven. And you remember that while you're in the spiritual state, you can't be physically traumatized. You can't feel a toothache. You can't feel the surgery of a leg being amputated. You can't feel hunger. You can't feel pain. There's no more thirst. For the former things will have passed away. So what am I trying to express to you? I'm trying to communicate to you all very sincerely that as long as you cling to the flesh in the physical world, you are hell-bound. You're going to have to turn yourself, Father Barbiano kept telling you all that to learn to turn yourselves inside out. And I added, Amun-Rayay, in your perspective of who and what you really are. Again, you have to learn to turn yourselves inside out in your perspective of who and what you are. So rather than thinking of yourself as a physical being that possesses a spirit and a soul, etheric aspect, and some vague peripheral aspect of yourself, start realizing that you are a spiritual and soulful etheric being that possesses the physical form as a lower appendage or expression of the real you. You are spiritual beings having a physical experience. Let me say it again. You are spiritual beings having a physical experience. But you've become so accustomed to the physical world. Understand, when you were first introduced to that flesh as a baby, when a parent would offer you a piece of fruit or a bottle, even if you were hungry, and you reached for it, you got very frustrated and cried because you couldn't get your hand would go the opposite way of the bottle. Like when you try to take your first steps, you would get tangled up because you didn't have coordination. You know what I mean? And you would get frustrated and fall and cry, right? But after time, through repetition and practice, you learned how to operate that physical body in the same way you took your first driving lessons in the car. You got so familiar with the physical form that you learn how to write, indeed write cursive. Some of you are artisans. Some of you can write with your left and right hand. You understand? So ambidextrous, right? And you learn control of that physical body, and you got so comfortable over time that you begin to imagine that you are that car if you're a truck driver or that vehicle. Understand that the real you is simply a passenger, and your body is no different than a car body. Are you following me? Once you leave your car and park it outside, it has no repose. It's not animated. It can't do anything without you. That's the same way your spirit is to your body. Your body is just a body, an empty earthen vessel. It has no repose, unanimated. It's a fungus that clings to the light. It's not going to walk or move without you. Are you following me? Now, I'm not suggesting that your body doesn't have a purpose. It does as long as you're on this physical plane. And my job, I was sent here to help you perpetuate that flesh long enough in order for you to bridge the gap to cross over again to the spiritual realm. You won't need it again. But as for those of you that are asleep in this, so shall you be in the next. In other words, You're not going to die in the dark, ignorant, then wake up all of a sudden with epiphany. Oh, I know where I'm at in the spirit. I understand. And I get, no, you won't. You'll be confused as hell. Just like when you have a dream. You don't realize that that's the real you in that dream. But that is you. And that real you knows you on this side. And you know the you on that side. Because the sister was just telling you that she was bit by snakes and chased by white children. But there's no mark on her hand, on a physical hand from the snake. So these are two separate entities. In the same way, I am in here talking to myself. Are you following me? I'm Amun-Rayay. Nitia authority, Amun-Rayay Asa. I was sent here as your spiritual guide to guide you back home. And home is no place that you're going to traverse and find in a jet or a car, or through money, or education, or through the internet, or teaching from fake messiahs. You're not going to get home with that. That's not true guidance. There is no way to the Father except through the Son. Learn that. It's the Creator's will, and I think it's a generous will. Because everybody here, like Father Babianu said at the Athens Ball, you know, there was a comedian up there, and I have a brother in here that was there with me, and if Katie Ray, one of the elders, 24 elders from Brooklyn is on the line, she'll tell you, Alabama, many people were there, thousands of us, the Wapians. The comedian got off, Malachi walked up the stage, when he passed by me, he said, don't crack no joke on me, I'll put a curse on you. And the guy got so scared, he was clinging to the walls and curtains. And then when Malachi got up, after the magician and the comedian, he walked back and forth with his hands behind his back, and he looked at the crowd of the Wapians, and he continued back and forth pacing. Then he walked up and attacked the microphone. And in staunch sincerity, he looked at everybody and glared at them and said, you Nawabians are those fallen angels. You could hear a pin drop in there. Niggas wouldn't say nothing. And the power of that is that these niggas, and I'm going to call them that, these niggas know that right now, and they got these young people running around talking and acting stupid like they don't know. Ask these older Nawabians that were there, didn't Malachi say that you Nawabians were fallen angels? Yes or no?
Yes.
Look them in their eye. They're going to be shocked you even know about it. Because they think you was in Pampers are non-existent. But it happened in front of thousands of people. Malachi was asked many times by people that visited Tamaray, why do you have these devils on the gate? Why you got these devils out here? And he finally answered, he said, because these devils do my work. These devils do my work. Y'all not going to come in here and live in no barn and smell each other's toes and do my work. These devils do my work. And he was right, because I wouldn't go move in there and smell them niggas' toes. No. But I would contribute more to the community than any 100 of them. Or 50 people outside the gates. Right? But it's very important that you understand that people here are fallen angels, and there's only one exception, and that is if you're a light worker or you were sent by the Most High. Yes, there are beings here from other planets, other timelines, other densities, other planes and dimensions that have made agreements to come down here, such as the Mayans. Many of the Mayan people have agreed to come back down here to try to stimulate your vibrations to bring you back home. Right? And even those sent by the Most High, such as myself, go to the Holy Tablets, chapter 13, tablet 16, verse 248 through 252. It'll read, I, Elion El, sent to you Ahmed as an apostle, reciting to you the purified pages, the Holy Tablets, all capitals. Holy Tablets, all capitals. And it goes on to say that it's the truth. And that those of you that were given the scripture didn't become divided until after the clear evidence came to you. Meaning that you became divided after you found out I was an apostle sent by Elion El, the same way that Panabab Yanun was sent by Elion El. Because you've been told over and over again by Panabab Yanun that his time to rule was the first half hour from 1970 to 2000. And from 2000 to 2030 is Amun-Rayay's time to rule, the second half hour. But those of you that won't accept, or just like the Bible says, refuse to say that Jesus has returned in the flesh, are of that spirit of Antichrist. You are of that spirit of Antichrist. And those that's professing to be something they're not, you're even more dangerous. The time for games is over. Time to come home, put your toys away, and all your evil imaginations before you get left behind from eternity. That's not funny, nor is it a joke. That's very real. Now, like I said, a description of the new heaven and the new earth. What your destination is this. A lot of people want to know, what is your motivation? Why are we here? Your destination and your goal should be the future. The future. Because if you don't obey, you will have no future. You will indeed be cut off. And there will be no place found for you in the heavens. Anywhere. And the danger in the Most High, as loving as He is that He's not a man that He should lie. He is not a man that He should lie. If He promises you that this is the third striking you out, this is the last time, and you'll be left behind, believe it. Don't imagine you're going to be left behind on the earth partying, because the former things will have passed away, my brother, my sister. Let my words sink in. Go gather the rest of them out there playing these little games, all these God games, and bring them home so that I can help them raise up and transform into something much greater than that they were pretending to be. You hear me? You don't know the Most High. Of course, He's probably got things in store for you much greater than what you were imagining. Don't miss your opportunity at an eternal throne. You are created in His image and in His likeness. And Jesus told you that one day man would do greater things than I. I'm talking to those that have an ear to hear. Listen to what the witness says to the churches. Listen to me. Go to your Bible, Revelation 3:14. Until the angel of the church of Laodicea writes, saying these things. For Amun, faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. Revelation chapter 3, verse 14. And I'm in all the scriptures. Malachi talked about my arrival and prepared you all for my coming ever since his first day on his mission. All the way from Ansar days. All he talked about is the return of Jesus, the return of the Messiah. And what do you all do? You claim he is the Messiah. Stop that. Stop it. He told you 1,000,000 times in 1,000 ways that the Wahabian Christ is Amun. And he told you, I am not the Messiah. He said, look in my mouth. I'm telling you, I'm not the Messiah, never was the Messiah, and never will be the Messiah. Stop it. Stop lying on the man and lying on yourself and each other. Stop playing games. Don't miss your opportunity at reality. Reality is more beautiful than any fantasy you could ever weave. The truth is more beautiful than any fantasy you could ever weave. Anything you can imagine, and your wildest imagination is not as beautiful as what the Most High has planned for you. Understand me. Who has questions about the new heaven and the new earth, or how to reach, the fifth plane and above to the ninth plane, or further? Who has questions about it?
I have one.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Is it possible to go to the new heaven, the new earth before 2030?
Yes, it is. But I want you to get off the speakerphone, and I encourage everybody every time to talk directly into the phone, loud and clear, not on speakerphones. This is too serious. Just like I want people to hear my answers, I want them to hear your questions audibly. Yes, it is possible to go to the new heaven and new earth before 2030. Where do you think unborn babies are that die in childbirth? Innocent babies. They're in heaven. Or people that followed the doctor and were loyal Ansars, loyal Nawabians for 40, 50 years like myself. Where do you think they go? Get your phones. Does that answer your question? If you want more detail, just turn the question.
No, sir, they answered it.
Okay. Next question.
I have a question.
I'll do my best. Speak up as loud and clear as you can, please, for the benefit of the whole class of the world.
Okay, when I find myself going to my spirit cord, having an OBE, sometimes when I get to the end, I may, I guess, I don't know what's out there, so I may like come back in, or sometimes I go through the cord and I see like I see stars,
right?
But I come back in. So then I want to know, and you're right, it is fear. But if I do go out there, what will I see? Or I do say I want to go this place, that place. But always the fear kicks in, and I come right back. But when I do get out there, what do I do? I mean, what will I see?
Well, what you do, sister, is, and I have a daughter that keeps coming back down that court when she starts raising up. She's afraid of it. But what you do is you plan your journey while you're awake. You form your intention. You set your intention before you go to sleep of where you want to go and what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and who you want to meet. What you're talking about is an experience that I had when I was a little boy. The first time I remember, I was about 7 years old. Excuse me. My mother and father separated, and we moved to Michigan. I was in my bed asleep, like always. I would stare at this bright light on the wall all night until I fell asleep. And I would wake up in the morning on the ceiling with my back to the ceiling looking down at my body on the bed. Never said anything to anybody because I thought that was a normal thing that happened with everybody. I found out that because I could see auras and all these different things that most people didn't experience those things. But anyway, this one particular time, I woke up and it was still night. I was on the ceiling. I turned around. Rather than going into my body, I went to the threshold of the door and I dropped down and rolled back up on the ceiling into the kitchen. Then I floated across the kitchen into the ceiling doorway. I dropped down, went in there. I saw my mother sleep on a let-out couch. I also saw a picture window there with my favorite chair that I used to go and sit in the wintertime. When it was too cold to go outside and play, I would look outside the window and watch the squirrels and different things outside in the chestnut tree. I would watch, the traffic and the kids and different things. And that was one of my favorite pastimes. So I went to my favorite chair and I sit down and I was confused. Because rather than looking out the window, I was looking straight at the wall. So I looked up and I looked at the ledge of the window and I was confused as to why I couldn't look straight out the window like when I always sit in the chair and did. So I looked down at my body and I was shocked to find I didn't have one. That shocked me. And like I told you, I was apprehensive. I was afraid. Then my imagination took over. My mind, like old people say, started running away with me. I looked at the door, and I'm afraid of heights. And I imagined that what if I'd have slipped out the door and started going up in the sky and I couldn't stop like a helium balloon in a circus. I would just keep going, and that scared me so bad that I shot back to my body. It was years and years and years before I would come out again. You hear me? But I'm telling you, there's nothing to fear but fear itself, sister. Make sure you mind your mind for the jewels of your soul, as taught by Padre Bad Bianoon. Remember that what you dream, you have like 5 true dreams and 7 false dreams on average. And they'll be dictated by the last thing you saw on television, the last chapter in the book you're reading, the last human involvement argument or conversation you had, the last thing that was on your mind before you drifted off to sleep will manifest itself in a dream. Are you following me? So make sure you never go to bed angry, and that you always have self-guided meditation, etc. Just like the kind of things that you get from me in these spiritual packages that I'm sure many people can attest to really do help them in those vital areas. They're designed to help you to transcend and expand your consciousness and raise your vibrations, right? You can see CashApp links on our post that you can order packages or make much sorely needed donations. Because here's a commercial. I find it very strange that all the fake clowns and fake messiahs and fake Jesuses and fake spiritual guides are living in big 4-story houses with plantations, this, that, and the other, in Africa, all that. But the Son of Man has barely a place to lay his head. However, there are good people here, as scarce as they are. There was a good brother, June, from Florida, that drove here and spent like 4 days with us, and he donated a new computer and all this time and expertise and many of the parts needed and required to bring us into the 21st century, because we were still stuck back in the 90s with our old, outdated equipment. Are you following me? And there are many people like Katat, but some people think to themselves, why am I donating money? There's no benefit in donating to the mission for the Most High. Nothing can be further from the truth. Or they find things much more important to them, or is it to their physical form, the illusion, here on earth? I have things to do, places to go, and people to see. I don't have a penny for the Most High. And I don't have time to donate and try to propagate the truth or write a testimony. Right? So to me, they're liking it to the young man that's got a woman that's, very responsible. She's got a job, and the young lady goes out and works every morning until it's late, comes home, finds him on the couch again, watching cartoons in his shorts with the remote control, smoking weed. Did you find a job today? Oh, I'm looking. What he's really saying is he's waiting for a job or heaven to come knock on the door and say, hey, I've been looking for you, and just jump all over him without any input from himself. This nigga is cruising for a bruising, and he will be left behind. Because eventually, that sister going to get tired, and she's going to put him down and leave him behind and find a real man. Or in the case of a brother, a real woman, a real person. Stop clowning. I'm here for you. Help me to help you. All right? Did that answer your question, sister? Now, who has the next question about? Or if it didn't answer your question completely, just turn your question, sister, and I'll enlighten it. I'll throw more light in blind corners for you. This subject is so very important. Go ahead.
Yes, it is. It did answer the question, but I had another question.
Very good.
In regard, like, why do sometimes having an OBE, I may see that green red light tunnel? Let me.
You said you see a green red light?
A green emerald color. like a
Okay.
like a web. Okay, I see that sometimes. Sometimes it's
Like a web? Like a web?
Yeah, like a spider web. You have a little tube, but it's like a web.
That's the etheric cord. That's your etheric cord. It's like a cobweb.
But
Yeah.
what's the other thing? I feel like it's like a purple with a green outline. It swirls. And also
Now purple. Purple is the highest light that'll show up on the visible spectrum. Green is the light that's reflected from the plane of Malakut, which is not a true color. It's a combination of yellow and blue. The light over that is the blue light. I am the blue light Pharaoh. That's the spiritual light. So when you all are in a spiritual form, look down at your hands and you see a blue light radiating from what you thought was your physical form. Some of you have been with me in spiritual exercises, and not only did you see your auras, but you said your fingers and hands began to disappear. Not so.
Yes.
They didn't start disappearing. It was self-realization. You don't have a hand. Your body is an illusion. You follow me? But the blue light is the light you're striving for now. You want to reach above the plane that you fell from, which is Malakut, the green light. Okay?
So why it switches up like that? I guess whoever state of mind is, I'm thinking.
It is. It is.
All right.
You know, and what it is, you want to try to strive to become more than you were. In other words, the plane of Malakut is the plane that you came from, the realm of the angels. Now it's time for you to ascend, if you are strong enough and worthy to ascend to the plane of the gods. Are you following me? And above.
How would I?
You have spiritual packages you've gotten to me before, right?
Yes.
Do they help you in your ascension? Do they answer many questions for you?
Yes, they have.
All right. Just keep asking questions in class and referring to your spiritual packages and making that journey within. Whenever you have a question, just call me up. I make myself available to you all, Don.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
That's right. Even though I'll tell you, I'd much rather prefer that you ask questions in class for more than one reason. It's not just selfishly because people keep me woke 24 hours a day on the phone talking. And then I have to take the phone off the hook because I can't have any self-time. But what it is that it's important that everybody hear the question and the answer, because you don't know how many hundreds of people may be occupying the same question and thirsty for the same answer as you. You see what I mean? And this is not a thing about you or me and you. This is a thing about we, us. You see? I'm not talking to you particularly and personally, sister, in that regard. I'm talking to everybody. But I just want to make it clear that I do make myself available at special time for very personal questions.
Thank you.
Yes. I love you. Next question. It's very important that you all understand. Go ahead, sister.
What is the second death exactly?
The second death is anybody that meets Mortimer, anybody that dies in this life. Let me say that when you were an angelic being and you came down to this realm through your mother and father, right? As an infant, when your mother gave birth, when you were born and you left the womb and the cord was cut and they spanked you and you cried and drew that first breath, you died from out of that reality. You hear me, sister? And you were born into this. Like I said, tab deck, you ascend plane after plane. Just like when you expire from the physical body, you ascend up in the spirit. The only thing relevant is whether you're awake or not, because those of you that are sleeping, they're associated with being the next. But the second death is anybody that goes to the cemetery or to the mortician in this life before that they're resurrected in the spirit. Are you following me? Because you have to take this time on earth to get reacquainted with the spiritual plane and learn all the etiquettes and ins and outs of the spiritual plane. It's very important. is extremely and vitally important. You see a lot of people, look this up on YouTube, and that die, and they take photographs of the people around the funeral at the cemetery. Sometimes you can see an androgynous being, a man or a woman, standing in the crowd, in an etheric type state with a confused expression on their face, sad and confused, because they know that that's them in the coffin, and they know that that's them standing up in the crowd, and they're confused, and they join the ranks of the disembodied souls that walk the earth aimlessly, wandering on in their contumacy, right? I walked out of the door of my house and looked at the sidewalk, and sometimes when my third eye is very wide, I can see them walking up and down the street. I went to a nightclub by the invitation of some friends one night, and I refused to go in because I saw, hanging over the entrance to the club, hanging from power lines and trees, androgynous spiritual beings in raggedy forms, men and women, very unpleasant, and they were dropping down into the bodies of the people that entered into the club. That's right. Dropping down on them, just like ticks on deers running through the woods. You have went to a club or a bar with a friend or a significant other, and y'all been drinking and socializing, listening to music, talking and having fun. But when they reach a certain limit of alcohol, you look over the table and they got a different expression. Fuck you looking at, nigga. You understand? And your question is, what happened to the person that I came here with? What happened to my friends that I came here with, right? Because when they reached a certain point of intoxication, they lost control. And then a walk-in stepped in and took control. And these beings are very angry and confused. They're very angry. Like the devil, the angelic beings that got cast down, they got cast down in great anger. You understand? So now, when they ever get access to a body, like you see a drunk man or woman stumbling down the street, they call it a stumbling drunk. Those are sometimes specters behind them, or you call them jinns, pushing them so that they can fall and cut themselves so they have a way to enter into the body. You see them sometimes slumped against the wall of a bar in the alley, talking to themselves with spasmodic jerking and all that. They're possessed. They got demons in them. And everything you say to them, what the hell, you giggers? They're just angry and swinging and falling and trying to hit somebody. I'll kill you, and this, that, and the other. You understand? They are possessed by demons because they've lost control. So people are vulnerable and susceptible to these things when they don't know about the spiritual plane. They don't understand about spirits, negative or positive. They don't even believe in things they can't see. So they say, have you ever met somebody that say, I don't believe in nothing I can't see? Or here she come with that unseen stuff again. Look, call me when you get ready to come back down to earth. Nigga, you lying. You believe in the wind. What color is that? The last time you saw it. You believe in magnetism. Yeah, you believe in magnetism. I ain't talking about magnets, nigga. I'm talking about that force between the paper and the bobby pin, the little girl moving that bobby pin around with. You believe in magnetism, but you can't see that. You believe in Tokyo, Japan, nigga. You never saw that. You believe in the unseen when it's convenient to you. You believe in love and hate. What does it look like? I know. It's like God. You can't see it, but you can feel it. Don't come in with you don't believe. I don't believe in God. You don't believe in him? No, I don't believe in him. Oh, but he's a him. Nigga, get out. Miss me with that. Y'all playing with yourself. Stop lying around here. I gotta get mine. No, I gotta have the money. Give me that. I gotta have that money. How many dead millionaires do you see in the world? And I'm telling you right now, I don't care what kind of fortune you incur. You gather up all you want. Tens of millions of dollars, billions. When that physical body give out for whatever reason, and it don't have to be old age, because people die in childbirth. When they take you to that Mortimer and inject you with that pencyclidine, that stuff burns worse than fire inside your veins. You can feel it but you can't scream out because you trapped in the mud of your flesh because you thought that was your only reality. You can't get out that burning car. And when they take that smoldering body in that coffin to the gravesite, the few people that pretended they loved you, they're not going to stay long. So they got to use the bathroom when they get thirsty, a little cold. All you're going to hear is footsteps walking away from you. I'm telling you the truth. That's the second death. Even your dog will lay on your grave longer. And the only thing that people that you showed off and did all that for, to make yourself look big, brother, sister, only thing they'll be arguing about all the way home is who will get what of what you left behind. I'm going to let that sink in like gravy. Brother Amun is not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth. It ain't going to help you. It ain't going to help you. It's cold, hard, but it's true. They're only going to be arguing about who going to get what of what you left behind. And a lot of them are going to be irresponsible and mess it off. You spend a lifetime getting it and they'll blow it in a week. At the racetrack or whatever it is. But that's what the second death is, sister, reverting back to your question. It's the physical death before you raise up in the spirit and wake up. You have to be reborn again in the spirit. You understand? And there'll be no more death for you. It is said, even in the Holy Bible, those of you that believe in Jesus, or even unto his name, unto them give he thee powers as gods. And you start moving, no, it's not a joke. And it goes on to say, and to those of you that believe in Jesus, even unto his name, unto they give he them eternal life. And not even death can snatch them from his hand. That's right. Once you wake up and resurrect in the spirit, there is no more death for you. There is no more death for you. How can you die when you know you're a spiritual being and you possess a physical form of the lower aspect of yourself that's not really real? In the same way as people think now, when they get caught talking to themselves, they say, I mean, they're talking to myself. They think the I is some vague peripheral ghostational aspect that's not really real. And the myself is real that they see in the mirror. Malachi keeps telling y'all, turn yourself inside out. Know that the I is, make that I single again. The I is real. Your body is nothing. This world is a fair seeming illusion. You better do everything you can to support the spiritual mission of the Most High and the 144,000 and become a member of that organization. You know that we're the only ones on the planet performing miracles. That's a sign that I was sent here by the Most High. You know I'm your Messiah. Where else are you finding these things done? I'm the only one healing cancer and AIDS and all these things. You know that. Stop deceiving yourselves and one another. Stop playing these games. Somebody, I'm waiting for a minute. I got to see something. It's that. Stop clowning. You don't have no more time. You need all the time you got. Tick-tock. To try to learn how to wake up and turn yourself inside out. And nobody else has this information like me, arranged in this way, except me. Because I done died 3 times in this world and then come back. They don't know what's on the other side. These niggas gum bumping like Jim Jones. Stop playing. All right, who else has a question? We got time for one more question.
This is June in Florida.
I got one.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead, June. Y'all just have patience.
So,
I'll answer another one.
So for the OBE, Now, when we're initializing it, say we have to figure out the best time for us. So whether that's at night before we're actually going to bed or during the daytime or taking a nap, right? So
yeah, that's a personal choice. Yeah. Whenever you feel most comfortable and relaxed.
Okay. So my question is, during the breathing exercise to get to the euphoric state, is there a certain amount of deep breaths we have to hold to initialize that? Or
well, there's no certain amount, but by practitioners, we commonly use 7. We inhale 7 times and exhale 7 times. Allah, you know what I mean? But now I'll tell you, and you should have Om playing in the background. It raises up your vibrations. It's a universal vibration. Now, let me say something. We were invited to the Brown Mirror in Atlanta by Panabab Yanun. We had his niece Fatima reveal to us his update on Om. And he told everybody in the Wabi is there that the most powerful sound in existence was Amun. Amun. He said, but I'm going to give you all the choice tonight to choose between Amun and Om. And all them niggas said, we want Om. That kind of tell you the kind of people that's here on the planet. Now, you have that 3-in-1 tones that I sent you in your spiritual package. Am I right, son?
Yes, sir.
And everybody got spiritual packages from me should have that 3-in-1 tones. That's what you play in the background, right? And, one of the most powerful CDs that you can have is one that I created for you all called Cosmic Traveler. And you and I have been discussing about that lately. And it gives you specific directions as to how to transform from the physical to the spiritual realm. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
And other people here now, the sister that was on the phone before and everybody, you all have Cosmic Traveler, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, sir.
Now the question is how much are you using it? You see what I mean? And many of you have gotten results from it, haven't you? Yeah. When you get very serious about following the instructions, the breathing and the visualization, you follow the instructions very sincerely, you're going to get an effect. Don't you get out your body with it?
Yes, sir.
Is he the only one?
I don't have it, but I do get out my body.
That's good. But it's just an aid to some people. You follow me? And it's something everybody should... You do have it. You have it, sister. Because you've gotten over three or four packages from me, spiritual packages from me. As well you should. And I'll send it to you more than once. You have it. But if you don't, I'll send it to you again. But I strongly suggest you look back because you overlooked it. It's called Cosmic Traveler, okay? A CD. And I very painstakingly put that together, like I did many other DVDs and CDs, to help be a very vital aid in getting people to make the dimensional shift. All right? We had another sister with a question, real quick. What was your question, sister?
I forgot what the question was. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's all right. It'll come to you, Heaven. How you enjoying your spiritual package, Heaven?
I'm loving it. Thank you. Yes.
I love you too. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Now, did you find Cosmic Traveler in your package?
Let me see. I'll do for it.
Of course, your package was so full. I give people so much more than they give me. When they receive the packages, they're astonished. They can't believe that I'm that generous. And they probably think, well, how's that benefiting him to send me more than I send him? The Creator makes that kind of math work. Do the measurement. When you do it out of divine love, it comes back tenfold, believe me. But look for it. You have cosmic travel. Listen to it all night and follow the instructions.
Okay.
And up until the time you tip off into sleep. And you wake up in other realms. Pleasant realms. Beautiful realms. You meet different people in different worlds. It was a brother had a question too. What is your question, brother?
I think that was Zybri.
Zybri, you had another question? Okay, what is it? Thank you.
How do you know you run in, like, whenever you see extraterrestrial?
How do you know? You got to speak up, son. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all.
Hold on. Yeah, I got you. Is this better?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay. I was asking, how do you know whenever you meet an extraterrestrial being? And how do you know, like, they are one? Do you feel like it?
How do you know what? When you're a spiritual being?
You meet? No, yeah, basically extraterrestrial in person when you meet one.
No. That wasn't your question. You said, how do you know when you meet a spiritual being? What was your question? Just be loud and clear, son. Take your time. She said, say it again. Slow down.
How do you know that you ran into an extraterrestrial in public?
How do you know? One thing is there's always a faraway distant look in our eyes. When you look in our eyes, you can see. But you can't tell necessarily by looking at a person's physical form. You can tell because our intellect is different from most mortals on Earth. And we have to answer to questions that most people don't have the answers to. But you have to remember, for example, with the Anunnaki, and it's time to go out and move stars, everybody should be going, positioning yourself. Stop talking. Mute the phone. It's like when the Anunnaki created man and woman in their image and likeness. They did such a fine job that when you stood the Earth female up next to the Anunnaki female, there was no difference at all that you could see anatomically, physically. And when they stood the Anunnaki male next to the Earth-like male, they were identical too, except for the foreskin on the Earth male was hanging down. And so they brought in the law of circumcision, right? But other than that, they look just like the Elohim. You follow me? Except that we have a distant look in our eyes and a different demeanor. And we have answered the questions that nobody else has. You can sense it, believe me, you'll sense the difference. You'll sense the difference. We're not like anybody else you ever met or ever will meet. We'll call like Nat King Cole said, unforgettable, right?
Messiah.
Yes.
I feel that when I look at a lot of people that work in there at my job, I sense that they see some. I can see something in them, and you know, I try not to look in their eyes. I see slither, like reptilian slither in their eye, and when I see it, it's like
you've been getting so many spiritual packages from me and so many classes and so many visitations from me. Your third eye is opening up, and you can see what other people can't see. I'm gonna tell you this one last story. I had a student, a disciple in Brooklyn, New York. Hold on. He was a good and faithful disciple. He made his own instance for a living and sold them all over New York. He used to be on the subways a lot. And he would always call in the class and say, I saw these reptilians on the subway. Don't talk over the class. Just, I saw these reptilians on the subway, you know. And he would say things like, I took my glasses off to look in their eyes to let them know that I knew it was them. I told him, I said, son, don't do that. Don't do that. Because these beings are intelligent. And you're putting fear in them. They're afraid to be exposed, to revealed. And they'll find you and hurt you. I didn't hear no more from him till this day, and that's probably been 10 years. He wouldn't listen to me. He kept doing that, letting them know that he could see them. Now, that's the same as if you and I walking down a New York street in the dark. We pass by an alley, and you see some young guys that mugged the old lady and killed her, and they rifled through her purse. Now, when we first walk by the alley, they don't see us. But out of curiosity, you go back and look again, and they look up and see you. Let me tell you something. That's probably the look that'll tell you all you need to know. Because if your question is will they kill you, look at that dead old lady. That's the answer. And if your question is, do they want you to be alive as a witness, think about the gas chamber. Don't ever let them reptilians know that you know who they, when they ask you, don't say, I didn't see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. Take my advice. It's not a game. These beings are hidden for a reason, because they don't want to be seen or found or exposed. Because they know their numbers are very few. And just like Frankenstein in the castle, the whole town's going to come with torches to burn them down off that windmill. You understand that? They're on borrowed time and they're being exposed. The Most High is lifting the veil. Too much information by the 2 and 4 of the earth. They know their time is up, and they don't want to rush it. They were given 6,000 years extension before cast into hell, and that time is up. So understand, never play with a wounded animal or a scared creature. All right, it's time to go outside and move these stars. Let's perform some miracles for the world. Now, all you serious brothers and sisters, let me know when you're outside and what you see.
I see a star. This is Anubis.
All right. Where are you located, sister?
I'm in the front, out in the yard. This is Anubis.
All right. What are you going to move?
A star.
All right, I see it. And I'm inside my bedroom in the dark with my eyes closed. And the brother June that was just here, he can bear witness that I'm moving these stars with my eyes closed in the dark. Am I right, June?
Yeah, with your head in the bed.
That's right.
I bear witness.
That's right. I am comfortable. I am comfortable. And I see you in the alley right there, not quick, son. Say it again, sister.
I said, and I bear witness as well.
That's right. That's right. Oh, okay, so what are you going to do with that star, sister?
In the name of Amun, move up.
Okay.
Going up.
Thank you for bearing witness to that.
In the name of Amun, drop down. Dropping down.
Dropping down.
In the name of Amun, move to the right. Moving right. In the name of Amun, to the left. Moving left. In the name of Amun, come closer. And it's moving closer.
Come closer.
Move back in the name of Amun. And it's moving back. Wow. In the name of Amun, go clockwise. And it's moving clockwise. Tauha, Messiah. I love you so much.
We're going to move something next. We need at least one more person. Okay.
I can see the moon.
Okay, in London. Very good, Cheryl. What are you going to do with the moon?
Right. I can see a full, it's almost like pink-looking moon. It's not white.
Okay. That's one of the signs.
So, yeah, it's
big enough for you to put your face in.
Yeah, it's a full moon and it's red.
Well, let me start moving it, and I'll put your face in it while I'm moving it. All right?
Okay.
Move in the name of Amun-Rayay.
Trees are lighting up. It's been. That's great.
You're gonna see your eyes and your mouth moving in it. And the aura around the moon is going to develop from my energy.
Yes, it is great.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did it see one eyes or see the nose and the mouth?
Yep, I do. I see his features. Okay, yeah, then,
And you go see yourself, your face, Shell.
Yeah. And for me, all the trees are lighting up around me. Yep, I am now. Yeah.
You the lady in the moon.
Yep.
The woman in the moon.
Look at it. Yeah.
That's Shell right there, y'all.
Yeah, I can see it.
That's not Shell in London. That's how she looks.
I'm actually smiling.
That little face.
I'm actually smiling.
I see a little smiling face.
That's her.
Yeah, I'm actually smiling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's her. And they can see her. They can see her in heaven and earth.
Wow. Okay. Yep. Oh, that's so nice.
I love you. Look, I'm gonna close it up now, but I'm looking for testimonies from all of you all and donations and spiritual packages ordered. But most important, please post these posts up all over the world in every media outlet to thousands of people. You have the power today with these modern apparatus to reach large sections of the population on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, all these different formats. Please wake up the people now. We out of time. We are one eternal love, Nitya authority, Amun-Rayay, Asa, and respect the Hierophant. Peace.